Glenlivet. It's a whiskey. I like it. I don't really drink beer, so we're going to see how this goes this episode. Album of choice, it's a toss-up between Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links, and Portishead's live album from 1998. It has to be Churrasco.
BrewsBeats&Eats, the podcast. We're back at it. I am Old Head Ed. I should have probably said I'm Old Head Ed first and then let you know we're back at it. But regardless, it is what it is. This is BrewsBeats&Eats, a podcast where we discuss beer, music, and food. I am your host, Old Head Ed, and I always have a guest with me. I put this guest through the ringer. Anybody who comes through, you know what I'm saying? I pretty much finesse them into telling us their story. Telling us their story. Then I'll pour 4 beers for them. They'll sample the beers. They'll give me their thoughts on the beers. We'll talk about their musical taste. And to end it off, we'll talk about their food taste. This week is no different than any other. I got another special guest. I want to kind of do the intro justice. So I'm going to start off. He's an ill producer, collaborator with the likes of King Micah and Midas the Beast. I met him through way of another ill producer, Citation Sound's very own Chef Draz. And also, heavy hitter, because it's not easy to get a co-sign by some of the greats. And when I mean greats, I'm talking about Illmind. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, all caps, Mightyhealthy.
Oh man, that is the greatest introduction I've ever had.
I was kind of like, yo, I gotta get through this. I gotta do it justice. I mean, we're talking about heavy beat maker. And whether it's Ignored all the way up to Quarantine Sessions 2, which is 1 and 2. Needless to say, you've been busy. Where did it start for you?
Ooh, okay. On paper, I would say I've been doing this for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
2.5 years. So I started around mid 2018, but I've always had a fascination with it. Even going back to when I was a kid, the first album I ever heard that made me want to make music, Only Built for Cuban Links. I just love that it just, like, RZA just found a way to, like, put you there. Like you could just feel just the, you know, and that's just something I've always been fascinated with. And, you know, as a kid, I would find this. It was called WavePad. It was like this like wave editor. You can't really do much else. You just drop a wave and like. So I would like go on LimeWire. I would go on LimeWire. I'd find like old instrumentals and like throw an acapella in, but it was like an editor, so I couldn't really like scroll or arrange nothing. So I'll just like throw it on top of there, see if like the BPM matches. Like try to. But I was doing this in middle school. Like I didn't know really what I was doing. Like I'll throw a J verse on like a RZA beat and like throw a Nas verse right after it. Like I'll try to do stuff like that. But that was kind of on and off. Yeah. But it was about 2.5 years ago. That actually, you know what really made me do it?
What's that?
Out of all the things, when Kanye announced that he was doing like all the albums in a row.
Okay.
When he was doing the Nas one,
Tiana
and the
Taylor,
Pusha, yeah,
got you. His own, yeah.
It was that particular moment where I was like, wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. And you know, I was working. I have a day job. I work from home.
Gotcha.
And so I'm like, well, I'm home. Like this is something I've always been in. Like, let me just try this again. You know, okay. You know, I bought FL Studio. That was my first, you know, introduction to it. Okay. FL Studio, making horrible music. But I was working at it every day.
Got you.
Because I felt if I wanted to take this seriously, I'd have to treat it like a job. I wanted to put time towards it every day.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. I ended up buying like Machine. It was like a lot better. And then I got into Ableton. Last year, and then that's when kind of like my skills kind of went elsewhere. So yeah, I would say that kind of sums up the introduction.
So so you pretty much sounds like you're self-taught. I mean, like you didn't attend Full Sail, you didn't go to any sound engineering.
And it's funny, like, because I went to UCF for college, and
dope.
So it was near Full Sail.
Go Knights, charge on,
yeah. So, but yeah, I never thought. I always felt like being self-taught in anything was pretty. I felt you get more out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never thought of like going to school for anything.
I think that's pretty interesting because I'm wondering if there is an advantage to that, whereas opposed to someone telling you, hey, this is how it is. You're taking it secondhand and then you're applying it as opposed to you sitting there and going, okay, I think this does this, and I'm learning it as I go. Now, granted, I'm sure, you're probably reading into stuff, whether it's manuals or whatever information you might find online, so that has something to do with it. But I think I imagine that the fact that you don't have someone to fall back on that's telling you, you're supposed to do it like this, right. You're figuring it out as you go.
Yeah, like, what I learned because you kind of become obsessed with it. Mm-hmm. So I would just read. I'll just go on Wikipedia. I'll just like look up like RZA, Havoc, Alchemist. But it's just like you learn that RZA was never musically trained.
Yeah.
Shook Ones was made on a Project Stove. Mm-hmm. Like foundationally, hip hop was invented by people that didn't know what they were doing. Yep. They didn't have instruments, studios, and nothing. It was just a couple of hipsters. They find some old records nobody cares about.
Yeah.
And then they just try to make do with that.
Yeah.
And so, I figured I'm like, let me take like an approach similar to that. Mm-hmm. Like, let me just figure things out as I go. Just like eat tutorials all day. Just make me just try to get better every day.
Yeah. So now you blew me away with the fact that you've only been doing this, like you said, even though technically on paper for 2.5 years, despite the fact that even before then you had inclinations to get into this side of things, you find yourself in a place where you're comfortable enough to get into, like, I imagine, beat battles or submit beats to, like, how was that, like, the first moment where you're like, okay, I think I'm ready to have someone listen to this?
Yeah, like, I would say I have the gift of self-awareness.
Oh,
like
that's a strong suit, right? Because a lot of people ain't self-aware.
Yeah, because I didn't even make an Instagram. So I made I have my own Instagram, like on my personal page. I made a completely separate page.
Okay.
But I actually didn't make that page until I was a good 4 months in, because I knew I wasn't good enough yet.
Got you.
So a couple months down the line, and then I start seeing like beat battles and stuff. But then I'll see who's submitting, what are they do, because one thing for me is that I try to focus on like one particular thing. Like I try to make sure I'm aggressive as possible. The drums hit as hard as possible. Everything is just aggressive. Yes. I really don't know how to do anything else.
It's a signature.
Yeah,
we're gonna call it a signature.
Exactly, because it's just like even now there's like a lot of boom bap stuff that's out there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm not like married to boom bap. I could do other things, but it's like there with like newer stuff, like with the technology and stuff, it just feels like there's something missing. Like there's like the extra grit that's not there. And like even though there's like lo-fi and stuff, it just doesn't hit the same. Like when Incarcerated Scarface's pop comes on, like that feels different. Yeah. Yeah. And I would say I got comfortable with more like beat battles and competitions and stuff like that once I started, kind of seeing where I kind of sit in the ecosystem, just, yeah.
Dope. Is that where you came across Draz?
Let's see. I met Draz at, I met Draz at one of the, I think one of the iStandard beat battles.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, no. Draz had followed me on Instagram like about a year ago, and you know, Draz, like, he's super, like, he's somebody you want to be around. He's super positive,
outgoing,
like,
positive,
like, you know, leaving positive comments and stuff.
You know,
like
good.
that.
You know, good is gonna come from whatever you guys are either talking about or working on.
Yeah, shout out to Draz. He's actually sent some stuff to King Micah too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out to Draz. And then he did 2 joints off of
Tetris.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I told him he went 2 for 2 on that one.
Yeah. Official, for real.
But yeah, I met him at one of the beat battles. He won that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
he won that one. Yeah.
So brought it back. Brought it to it's a Citation Sound.
Yeah.
Now Draz is real cool, and it's funny that I don't think there's too many people that won't agree with our analysis of Draz.
Yeah.
I guess for lack of a better word, it's just that's the type of dude he is.
Super.
Yeah, and it's funny because he said it on the podcast. He's like, "Yo, if you send me your shit, I will listen to it."
Yeah.
He goes, "I will listen to it," and here we are. Like, this is actually proof positive that just like he said on the episode, he's like, "Yo, you send me your stuff, I'll give it a listen." Yeah.
One thing I threw an idea about him, like I want to do like you remember Champion Sound? Mm-hmm. I want to do kind of like a Champion Sound with him.
The J-Liv joint.
Yeah, so you know, I'm always working, man. So that's something I would definitely be down to do. Speaking
of down to do or things you want to do, I mean, as ambitious as it may sound, I'm sold on the producing a whole album for Raekwon, bro.
Oh man.
I mean, you have to have these, some might say lofty goals, but I mean, nonetheless, it's like if you don't put yourself in the sphere of that being a possibility, then for sure your chances are zero. So you got to put yourself in that sphere. How did you touched a little bit on the Only Built for Cuban Links kind of inspiring you as far as the music back then, and now I guess you're just returning full circle, but like, I could do this for Raekwon, huh?
Right. Yeah, man. So for context, I think it was early April, he had announced that, I'm doing the 3rd one. And you know, and even when I started music, I write a lot of things down. It's like, okay, who do I want? I just Raekwon, all caps, Raekwon, Raekwon. You know, and it's on Instagram. I just started just making beats and posting them, just tagging whoever. Yeah. And then about a week or so in, I'm like, yo, is there anybody, like, do y'all know anybody, like, because, you know, the typical thing of like, oh, let me just tag somebody. Usually doesn't work. Yeah. And it looks desperate, right?
Indeed.
And so I'm like, yo, does any of you guys know, like, you know, my supporters are the best. Because I was like, you know, any of you guys know anybody in their camp I can hit up? And a couple people hit me like, yo, like, there's this guy, like, okay. So they're actually finding people for me to contact. And then so I DM'd one of them. I was like, yo, hey, you know, I don't know if it's just like a weird ask or anything, but is this, because there's one of them that gave me an email, so I started sending to that email. I sent to all the emails. Yeah. You know, I was like, yo, like, am I doing the right thing? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, somebody responded. I was like, yo, what you guys think so far? He's like, yeah, this is good. I was like, oh, okay. But then even more, like a couple weeks down the line, because I ended up sending like 35 beats. So,
okay.
And I'm still sending more.
Yeah.
And so one day on Twitter, I'm just like, whatever, it's Twitter. I'll just tweet. It's like a Friday morning. I was like, yo, I just sent 30 beats to Ray. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And he saw it and then liked it and followed me. Yeah. And I hit him up. I was like, you know, like 13-year-old me is like through the roof. Yeah. Like even if nothing happens from this, like just I could just high five 13-year-old me. Yeah. I'm like, you had a conversation with Raekwon, buddy. Yeah.
Were you glad that it wasn't 13-year-old you that responded? Like he didn't navigate the conversation from that point on?
I was really, really trying hard not to. Listen, I'm a producer. I don't talk. Like, I don't know how to sound cool. You know? So like, oh my God, Raekwon! I was trying so hard not to just like fangirl out, you know? Yeah. And I was like, yo, I'm trying to be all cool, like, yo, peace, you know, yo,
what's today's math?
Yeah, what's today's math? Yo, what's the science? Like, I was like, yo, like, what do you think so far? He's like, yeah, it sounds good. And I posted something it's like, yeah, I like that one too that you sent. I was like, wow, you actually like stuff. Like,
He actually listened. It wasn't somebody else going, hey, check, this is good. Just tell him that this one's good.
Because the thing is, he was specifically telling me, like, there was one track I sent, and they're like, yo, like, what's the sample on that one? So I'm like, oh, like, you actually thinking about, like, you know, and yeah, I was just like, I didn't know what to, like, you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Who would have thought?
And then, I think about another 2 weeks later, like, he goes on live, you know, people asking him questions, and he's just like, yeah, you know, he's like, yeah, you know, we working on the third one. You know, I just have this ear for beats. Like, I just find these producers and, you know, these beats, like, it, you know, it sounds like the first one. It's like, he's bringing me back to whatever. He didn't mention anyone by name, but I'm like, oh, that's me. You know? Like,
it makes the most sense because I want to take this opportunity now while we're in the sphere of Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links, you producing Mightyhealthy. All right, the name Mightyhealthy. Infamous Ghostface track. All right, I think I've heard you say the story before, but share the story with the listeners.
I got the name.
How you came across? How you landed on Mightyhealthy?
I was at work, you know, because I was at work just listening to. I just so happened to put on Ghostface that day. You know, I was, you know, Supreme Clientele. I just saw the name. I'm like, I'm like, but then, you know, I can't call myself that. Then, like, you know, like, what if someone tries to Google me? Nothing problem. I'm like, but who cares? You know, like, I'm like, you know, I also looked up. I was looking to see if the domain was available. Because these are things like, I'm like, okay, if I put my name to that, like, what about the domain? What about stuff like this and all that other stuff? I'm like, okay, there was like a Mightyhealthy company a couple years ago that's no longer around. And I'm like, what if I could just put the name together and make it all caps, like, dude? I'm like, huh. And it's funny because, like, had I listened to, like, Cuban Links, my name would have been Ice Cream or something. I don't know. Just like Knowledge God. I don't know.
If at that precise moment at work you were listening to Only Built for Cuban Links, who would have known, bro? Who would have known?
Miami producer, Verbal Intercourse. Like, yo.
That's kind of wild though. Verbal intercourse and you're making beats. Like, there's nothing verbal about it.
Yeah,
like
nothing.
That's wild. How did you come across? You know, I mean, Might is the Beast. I've come to hear from through the homie Orion, WDDH Radio. He met him up in Orlando. How did you come to work with him and also King Micah?
Midas was pretty simple. I remember when Alchemist had his Russian Roulette album.
Okay.
And then there was this one song in particular, because you know how Alchemist is, like he'll have like these super short songs and everything bleeds into the neck. Like, he's just a master at that.
Yeah.
And like there was this one song in particular where this dude I've never heard of, he just bodies it for like a minute 30. I'm like, yo, who is this guy? I'm like, oh. And this was like in 2013. I'm like, yo, if I ever like pick up music again, like I need to find this person. And then so, you know, fast forward, I find him. You know, he gave me like his feature price.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. That's fine. And then we got a great record out of it. And I was like, yo, would you be interested in like doing like a project in the future? He's like, yeah, like, you know. So I don't know if anything will come of it, but you know, I was just excited because that's somebody I've always, he was kind of on the bucket list a little bit too. Okay. So I'm like, he's such a dope MC and like, you know,
Dope. And King Micah?
So I met King Micah at an Illmind event.
All right.
So Illmind he had an event where like a bunch of producers show up. We play stuff. He gives his feedback. You know, I see it as more of like a networking event. Yeah. And so King Micah's from Detroit. So he came. I think him and his lady were down there. I think to celebrate his birthday. Okay. And so, you know, I met a lot of guys there. You know, some of the guys I still talk to now. But like him in particular, I remember I played stuff and he's like, yo, like, how do I buy beats? I'm like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
We'll figure the thing out later.
Yeah,
like, for
like,
now.
I got
But now
you.
I'm glad that you enjoyed them. Like
Yeah.
this was the initial like what you were looking for.
Yeah, so you know he's an incredible MC. I'm glad I went to that event, and we're still rocking now, man. You know, we got so he's working on a project with another producer, goes by The Roses. Shout out to them. Okay. I think their album's coming out pretty soon.
Okay.
And then you know working on King Mighty too. Just not stopping. Just
yeah. Speaking of non stopping, one thing that didn't stop you was the quarantine. When March came across, the quarantine hit. You were working from home already at that point, or this is working from
mostly
home? Okay, mostly. So you kind of had already adapted a pattern of being efficient enough to work from home and then work on your craft. The quarantine hits, so I imagine it wasn't too much of a shift for you.
Oh, I was happy. like minus disaster.
Yeah, despite the fact that you couldn't buy toilet paper, that didn't stop.
Yeah, for a couple of days,
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I get to be home more? I was like, oh. Dude, I've made hundreds and hundreds of beats since the start of that quarantine.
Wow.
It's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah. And that's what I applaud most of anybody who's a creative or an artist or an artistic person, that they, and I guess that's the benefit of being creative and artistic, is that you don't have to rely on forms of entertainment. You kind of entertain yourself with what it is that you do.
Right.
And then you just keep doing it throughout. Quarantine sessions 1 and 2. So what made you decide to split it into 2 parts?
Well, because I mean, the premise of quarantine sessions is it's just beats that I send, I don't hear back from. Okay. Stuff I send to Micah, he's like, stuff that I shop around to other people.
Gotcha.
Because like one thing about me, I do have a beat store, but I don't really sell beats.
Okay.
I guess that's maybe why I haven't blown up yet. But but no, it's just it just doesn't feel, not that it doesn't feel natural, but like I like being involved in the process. Like
gotcha.
That's why I want to do more like collaborative albums.
Okay.
You know, I mean, anybody, because there's beats everywhere. You could buy it's a commodity at this point.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just more interested in just the process of sitting down with somebody and just seeing a vision and scoring human lives. That is what I'm interested in. But yeah, quarantine sessions is just leftovers, really.
Okay. Why are some of them dated and some of them titled? I was wondering about that. By the way, Pedestrian. I'm just gonna throw that one
appreciate
out.
it.
That Pedestrian, dope.
Appreciate it. If it wasn't dated, it's older.
Okay.
Or maybe something I didn't date it because I sent it out to somebody.
Got you.
And I date my beats because I'm not creative. Mm-hmm. See, so one thing about me, I don't consider myself creative.
Okay.
I manufacture my creativity.
Got you.
I'm like, okay, I like this sample from here. I like that sample from there. I like these drums from there. Let me find a way to put it. So let me throw this Jamaican vocal here. Let me tune this down there. Like it, I take more of a scientific approach to it. And so I say that all to say I don't name things. I can't think of names like that. Because if I did, I'd be rapping,
It's true. It's true. If that was the strongest suit, that'd probably be the where you lean to.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper to be rapping because you don't have to buy the equipment. Right?
Well, I have the equipment anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, no. Okay, I have to. See now that plays towards me being old head ed, because whenever I make references like that, I'm thinking back then when everybody didn't have either the finances or the technology wasn't readily available, whether it was you were able to purchase it or download or whatever. So I'm thinking, I'm coming from a perspective of like it was a lot cheaper to rap back then.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, I forgot. Now you download the software and you could kind of work your way into putting together a beat. But no, man, that's excellent. And that goes to your point earlier where you said that it's so much. There's a lot out there.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot out there because everybody could jump into the fold and try it.
Exactly.
As opposed to back then, it's like most people, unless you had a family member or you had money coming in where you could buy turntables, You probably most likely weren't going to be the DJ.
Or maybe you stole it from somebody.
Or in the blackout that happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's an interesting take. Mighty Healthy, I think we're going to wrap up the official business part here. We got to know you. We touched on the music that you've been putting together, when you started making it. You want to hit the people with the social medias, where they can follow, where they can find music, you, so on. Instagram,
Mighty Healthy Music. Let's see. My website is Mighty Healthy Music. My Twitter is Mighty Healthy _. What else social media is on there?
Well, the Bandcamp, but that's
So just go to my Instagram. I have my link tree. Everything's there.
Yeah. YouTube.
YouTube. I think it's youtube.com/mightyhealthy.
Yeah.
Although I'm not on there really, but.
What I'll do is I just like to torture the guests and take them through this step, because what's going to happen is that I'm going to write it all down later.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to drop it in the description notes. And they're like, man, I rambled through a bunch I was under pressure to come up with all the different locations, and he could have just asked me later and put them up. But this is how we get down. This is Brews, Beats, and Eats. There's still a lot more show. Y'all stay tuned. Mighty Healthy is up in this.
Big beer, little beer, big beer, little beer, big beer, little beer. Beer, 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 beer. Big beer, little beer, big beer, little beer, big beer, little beer. Beer, 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 beer.
Brews, Beats, and Eats, the podcast. Yes, we have reached the brews portion. The brews portion of this shindig, this festivity. Got Mighty Healthy with me here. And I'm so appreciative that despite the fact that he hasn't had beer in a long time, he's willing to give this a go. Like he said early on, he's more of a whiskey man. Glenlivet, got the Glenny. But this time around, I mean, what we do in this segment is we have the guests try 4 different beers. They'll give me their thoughts on them. As we navigate through each one of the beers, we'll get into maybe some early beer memories, what they're drinking nowadays, whether it's beer or not. And yeah, man, just some good old fashioned tipping back a cup and yelling Prost. All right, so without a further ado, let's get right into this. Mighty Healthy, you ready?
All right, let's do it.
Beautiful. I'm taking into consideration that you're not, it's been a minute since you drank beer, so I'm trying to keep them like all on the lighter side.
Okay.
But I do want to get your opinion on some of them that are a little bit, they vary. So, I'm taking you through a journey here, and you let me know what you think of them.
Okay.
The very first one, which is on your left, we're gonna go left to right. That is the Bold Rock Hard Cider Brewing Company. It is their IPA. India Pressed Apple. Now it's not an IPA. They just labeled it an IPA. It's a cider. They added more hops into it, which is typically what gives the IPA that hoppy taste, the overbearing taste. Not overbearing. In my opinion, it's a little overbearing. But yes, that one is the Bold Rock Hard Cider. Is their IPA, which stands for India Pressed Apple instead of Indian Pale Ale. It clocks in at a 4.7%. And it's brewed in Virginia. Whenever you're ready, fire away. I haven't had this one, so I'm going to give this a go too. The rules are that there's really no rules. It's you taste it. If you want to work through it, you could. If it's just sip is enough for you to make up your mind, then you could do that too. Excuse me. I definitely need to drink something because got the phlegm coming up. That sounds great.
No Corona. No Corona. No Corona.
No, we're not doing that here. Actually, there are no Coronas up here either. But I haven't had this one before, so I'm interested to see what this one tastes like. But whenever you're ready, fire away. Let me know what you think.
Okay. It is lighter.
Okay.
Yeah, I like how that felt. I like it. I'm assuming these go from light to heavy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're starting off on the 4.7 side.
Okay.
I don't go on this occasion. I'm not going any higher than 6, which is the ABV. But you'll notice the difference between this light one at the beginning at 4.7,
right,
which is right where your typical run of the mill beers land. They're right about just underneath 5 and whatnot. So
what got you into beer?
So what got me into beer was you go to gatherings. There's always beer there. You grow up in the early '90s where every song has to do with either a 40 or OE mention, or so you do that then.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as journeying, is that even a word?
Today it is. This episode it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
New dictionary. taking the voyage from your typical, this is what your neighborhood grocer has, to finding out that there's other beers that are not these big name brand ones. A good homie of mine, shouts to Adam, he got into craft beers. Mm-hmm. And then he turns around and tells me, yo, you know that there's these different types of beers, and there's this, you go online and there's a website that it gives you, like, it ranks all these beers, and the ABV goes like through the roof with some of this stuff. And I was like, really? So one of the times we got together, we went to a wine and spirits and beer place that I won't mention anymore because their policies has changed up.
They're not sponsoring the show anyway.
Exactly.
Forget about it.
So we pulled up there, and then you start seeing all the different beer types, and then you start picking, I'm interested to see what this tastes like, what that tastes like. And then, that's where it started. And then finding out that there was stuff that I was more interested in, that it wasn't Heineken, Presidente,
right,
Corona, so on and so forth. So that's what got me into the beer. And then I kind of cemented my love for it when I decided to name the podcast BrewsBeats&Eats, and I was like, well, fuck, I can't back out now.
Yeah, no, now you got to double down,
bro. I'm saying I often find myself in a place where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna focus a lot more on eating right, and then maybe getting a little more workouts in and whatnot, and then I go, damn, but the beer, like the beer is gonna stop all this progress. So that's where I find myself at. It's a labor of love.
But it's worth it. It's worth it, because this one was good.
You like that one? Yeah. Do you what's your earliest beer memory? The first time you had a beer, what was it? What did it feel like?
First time I had a beer, it was right before going to college. It was I think it was a Heineken.
Got you.
Yeah, and then college happened. It's like you're not buying good stuff in college. You got the friend with the fake ID and doing that. It's just, I was just it just turned me more into liquor because there was just more to the point.
Got you.
So I was drinking all the horrible, what was that with the Pinnacle vodka, all that garbage,
all the different flavors.
Just straight headache juice.
Yeah.
But then once I started working, having being able to afford better stuff, I got more into like whiskey and stuff like that.
Got you. Let's get into this next beer.
Okay.
And this is from the Oscar Blues Grill and Brew. It is their Mama's Little Yellow Pills. It's a Pilsner. Comes in at a 4.7% and is brewed out of Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what you got there.
Okay. Nice packaging.
There you go. You appreciate you digging the logo?
Yeah.
Cool. It's kind of like a throwback a little bit. It has the lettering reminds me of kind of like Soul Train. Doesn't it remind you of the Soul Train lettering a little bit?
Yeah, vintage.
Yeah, because it's got the line within the letter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I haven't tried this one either.
Yeah, you got
I gotta do it. Yeah, whether I tried it or not, man. I mean, Mightyhealthy's here drinking beers. He hasn't done it in years.
Exactly. That was a rhyme.
Yeah. It's happening more and more often.
Yeah, Mighty Ed coming soon.
That's it. I like that. So we'll give this one a go.
It tastes like a vegan Heineken.
If like beer couldn't get more vegan.
Yeah, like it just. But it feels smoother though. It feels very smooth.
Yeah.
Smells good. Goes down fine. So what exactly is a Pilsner? I don't know.
All right, so I'm glad you asked this because now it's my time to bounce back from the debacle that was the No Emotion episode when he asked me the same question and my quote-unquote beer drinking supposed to know something to share with the people. I'm like, yeah, it's a style of beer because it's a place in Germany. That was my go-to. A horrible failure. And the worst part of it is not only was it captured on audio, it was on film also.
It's all right. You know what? They weren't sponsoring that episode. They weren't sponsored,
so I'm not gonna do them justice. But this time around, at least I'm gonna say this. But before I do that, shouts to No Emotion, shouts to Us vs. the Buff, South Florida Media Gang, the Gods, and so a Pilsner, actually, Pilsen, which is Pilzn, is a section, a part. It's a country in Czechoslovakia or a city in Czechoslovakia. It's a place within Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's Pilsen where the beer originated from. And the term Pilsner means the ER at the end of Pilsen means that it's from here. So Pilsner means it's from Pilsen.
Okay.
So that's where a Pilsner comes
so it's
from.
Mama's pills for pills. Okay.
Exactly. Mama's little yellow pills, Pilsner, Czechoslovakia, the origin. Then, of course, other places try their hand at making a Pilsner as well, but that's the origin.
Okay. So you're at least in Europe. You weren't fully wrong.
Yeah, no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Geographically.
Yeah.
Geographically, I was spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The third beer we're going to get into. It is from the Harpoon Brewery and Beer Hall. It's funny because it's the first time, the last beer we had is Oscar Blues Grill and Brew. So I guess they have a location that also serves food and they brew beers on site, I imagine. And this one's Harpoon Brewery and Beer Hall. This is their Dunkin' Pumpkin. It's a pumpkin beer. Clocks in at a 5.2% ABV and is brewed in Massachusetts. Let me finish this last one so I could join you.
All right.
Yes. The podcast can only get better from this point on.
Exactly.
All right, so now, in the spirit of the October, the fall season, even though you don't get there's not a lot of, pumpkins aren't a tropical fruit.
Yeah.
So, it's not even a fruit. Wait, is it? Is pumpkin a fruit? Now I'm starting to wonder because technically it has seeds. And typically, if it has seeds, is a fruit. That's why people will say a tomato's a fruit. So I'm wondering.
I definitely fell asleep during that part in class.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We'll have the answer after this.
Yeah. More research on my behalf. By episode 15 of season 2, I'll have the answer for you. So let's give this one a go. Oh.
This one confused me a little bit. Like it had like a coffee aftertaste.
I knew you were gonna go there, which makes sense to me as it's a Dunkin' Pumpkin.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
I guess it's
Coffee
in conjunction,
beer?
and it's a coffee pumpkin beer. Now I don't drink coffee. Right as you were saying that, well, actually, right as I was taking a sip, I got notes of coffee, and I was like, oh damn, I don't like coffee, but I'm already committed to drinking this. And then that makes sense, Dunkin' Pumpkin. So it's kind of like a take on a Dunkin's pumpkin coffee.
Right.
Do you mess with coffee at all?
I'm more of a tea guy.
Oh, more tea guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a coffee.
It's funny because I used to drink coffee as a kid, but
yeah,
then it just, once I turned a certain age, and once I was like 6, I just never had it again.
How do your parents handle?
No, it wasn't a bit like it's a Haitian thing. Like
that's what I'm saying. But
yeah,
it's I mean, naturally, 6-year-olds have this energy and they're all over the place.
I don't know why they did it.
And
it was my grandparents. I don't know why they did it.
Okay. Because they're like, we'll just hand them over to mom and dad. You're like, yeah, give it to them. It's good. It's good. Yeah, this is an interesting one.
So far, this is my favorite. The Pilsner.
The Mama's Little Yellow Pills. Okay.
This is just interesting. It's not bad. It's just interesting.
Yeah, it does put you in a spot where it's unfamiliarity is I think what leaves you in a place where you're like,
yeah,
I haven't been here before.
I'm excited for this one.
Okay.
This one looks like it might be the one.
Okay. Before we get into that one, you mentioned earlier you transitioned from beers in college to drinking liquor. Mm-hmm. Whatever you guys can get your hands on.
Yeah.
And now you find yourself in a place where you're drinking Glenlivet and whiskeys. There's that moment where I don't know if we share this in common, but the first time I tried a whiskey, I was like, oh, yo, wait, hold on. Like, yo, time out. Like, I'm feeling this. I'll be back, Right. And then, of course, you transition to a part where, like, okay, no, this isn't bad at all, or I could push through or power through, and then you become familiar with it. Is that how it went for you?
I mean, yeah. Like, it was my dad who put me on to it. He put me on to just Scotch specifically. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, to me, it just feels like a very practical drink. You just need that and ice, and it could just last. You could just sip on it. You're good. I didn't go straight into the,
yeah, tilt it back. Yeah,
that's how you screw your life up. That's how you wake up
real.
2 days later.
Yeah, you're not gonna get anything done doing it like that.
Yeah,
and it's wild that I have the same sentiment when it comes to whiskey, that it's like any person, any responsible person, it's like something you sip at. You know, you don't have to all hit it all at once. It's there, you go, you take a hit of it, you feel good, you know, you carry on conversation or whatever it is you're doing, and you go back, you revisit. You know?
It goes down smooth, the ice and the coldness, yeah.
So on the rocks, not neat.
Yeah, I drink, you drink my cognac warm and my whiskey.
Okay. My
whiskey and ice.
Nice. Dope. Anything else besides Glenlivet that you've tried that you were like, I can fuck with this?
I mean, just stuff everybody else likes. I'm not really. I haven't ventured out so much yet.
Gotcha.
So this is why this is interesting, because I've never seen any of these before.
Okay, cool. One thing I kind of glanced over there. Was there ever a moment where, whether it be it beer or liquor, that you experienced where you're like, oh, I ain't doing that again? like through just sheer results of a hangover, or?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
I would say, just typical college bullshit. You're drinking Pinnacle, you're drinking all that sugary stuff. Fireball is horrible. I don't know, that there has to be some kind of like government conspiracy to like make college kids drink it. Like it's
so readily available.
Yeah, like it's right, because nobody outside of 18-year-olds buy it. Like it's horrible.
You'll be surprised.
Really?
I've been approached by people closer to my age with a bottle of Fireball, like, let's do Fireballs
on purpose. Do they like themselves?
That's still out for debate. I mean, I like them.
Yeah.
But how they feel about themselves, and I like them enough to go, pass me on that one. Like miss me. Like nah. Like let's move into some. Like no, there's a bottle of Makers there. Let's let me work on that. You know what I'm saying?
And I hate Jaeger. I hate gin. I hate It's awful.
Jaeger is one that I've had the opportunity to witness people like change on Jaeger.
Really?
Like people that I knew to be one type, where they're like, oh, this dude, he seems like someone you don't want to mess with, and the guy looks like he works out, and like, oh, okay, this guy is serious about this. Bro, a couple shots of Jaeger, and like it was an emotional outpour from my man. Like my man wasn't a bad looking dude, okay? So it's I don't think he has a problem. I imagine he didn't have a problem with the ladies, but a couple of shots of Jaeger, and he was offended by what the girls might have thought of him, like, and to the point where he was crying, and it was emotional, and I was like, what happened? Like, what just happened there?
If you're listening now, whoever's out there, just it's not maybe it just wasn't your day that day.
Yeah. Listen, a Jaeger party can go in multiple directions. You learn how it worked out for you. Stay away from the Jaeger.
Yeah.
All right. Move on to bigger and better things. I don't even know if he's drinking nowadays. That might have stunned him into sobriety. I don't know.
Or maybe he doubled down.
Or maybe he doubled down. Let's get into this fourth beer. Let's quadruple down and get into this fourth beer. This one here is from the Bell's Brewery. This one has a long ass name. It's Larry's Latest Juicy IPA.
Where did you find that?
Shasta Fresh Market.
Okay.
So this one's a Juicy India Pale Ale. Mm-hmm. It clocks in at a 6%.
Okay.
And it comes out of Michigan. All right. So shouts to
the state of Michigan.
State of Michigan. The D.
Yeah.
All right. King Micah.
Yeah, King Micah. Yeah.
So let's give this one a shot.
Okay.
I'm gonna pour some up for myself here.
This is probably the smoothest.
Okay.
It's the smoothest. I don't mind the aftertaste. Very citrusy.
Okay.
But for some weird reason, I don't know. I was expecting it to be sweeter.
Got you.
But I don't know. Just something about the colors. But,
yeah. Or the presentation on
Yeah.
I
like this one.
Okay. Now I have to applaud you on that, because typically for people who haven't drank beer in a while and find themselves trying beer, the IPA is something that normally kind of like pushes them in the opposite direction. Like, oh, I can't drink that. Not the case in this situation, because you actually enjoyed the IPA.
Right.
That'll get edited out. So you enjoy the IPA. I'm not a big IPA fan. I found a couple, and they're ever growing where I could enjoy them. This one kind of brings me back to one of those where I'm like, it's okay, but it's not something that I would look for. I would search out and be like, I gotta try this.
What's like your favorites?
Okay, it's kind of rotating. Doing this kind of shifts my favoritism when it comes to beers, just through the podcast. Like I said early on, I was rocking ciders heavy, and then I found myself in a place where I liked bourbon barrel ales, and that was it for a minute. And then what was this next step after that? I know after that it was probably a strong ale that's just a little higher ABV. Throughout this time, I would find some IPAs that I messed with. I was like, oh, this is not bad. That's not bad. But now I find myself in a place where I'm always willing to try a sour beer. So if a place has a sour beer, I'll typically start there, and just at least to taste. But there was a point where I was like, I couldn't stand sour beers. I'm like, some beers you'll come across that are sour, that they're just sour for the sake of being, like, for living up to the name. Right. And you're like, oh, this is like tart as hell. But then you start finding out that there's fruited sours, that you'll start getting some of these more fruit tones as far as passion fruit, guava, and then you kind of it kind of could be described as an alcoholic juice drink. You're like, oh, I feel like I'm drinking juice, but there's definitely alcohol in this. So that's where I find myself now. Right?
That sounds dangerous. Like you feel like you're drinking a Minute Maid.
When you get when the beer lulls you into a false sense of security. Yeah, but it doesn't make its intentions known up front, but it's waiting. It's waiting for it to jump on. And then it catches up with you. And I mean, the good thing is that it doesn't make you cry and feel emotional like Jaeger. But
Shout out to him.
Shouts to him. Mighty Healthy. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier as far as which was definitely the number one.
Definitely the pills.
Okay.
Also like this. This
number
is.
two?
I think I'm gonna enjoy this for the rest of the episode. This is a good one.
Larry's latest, the Juicy IPA, is a strong second. Yeah. And then your third would be.
I would say this one, but it was super light. It was a good introduction.
The cider. Okay.
But the thing, this one wasn't bad. I know if maybe if I was drinking beer longer, I would probably appreciate this more.
Got you.
This one feels the most acquired out of them all because I don't drink coffee or anything. So
So being introduced to that at once, the two different flavors.
I got smacked with pumpkin, coffee, and beer. Like, whoa.
Like, where's the donut? Where's the donut? Dope. Mighty Healthy. You drank the beers. You sampled them. You gave us your thoughts on them. You let us know which one was the best and which was the least favorite. We did everything we're supposed to do on this end. The only thing left to do next is get into these beats. So y'all know what it is. Mighty Healthy, Old Head Ed. Mighty Ed,
exactly. Now my deepest, darkest secrets will be exposed.
Fuck, now I'm going to have to start writing verses. BrewsBeats&Eats, the podcast. BrewsBeats&Eats, the podcast. We are here, Mighty Ed. From now on, that's what we will be called. Mighty Healthy, Ed. Old Head Ed, a.k.a. Ed Energia. We had La Cervezas Fria, which is cold beers for my non-Spanish speaking listeners, and we're gonna keep writing out with these beers. But in the meantime, we're gonna talk beats, we're gonna talk music, and this is one of the opportunities where we really discuss beats. We got to know a little bit about Mighty Healthy's beginnings when it came to music, how he started making beats, the earliest, whether it was slapping an acapella, an instrumental, and hoping that the tempo lined up
badly, mind you, very badly,
all the way to being able to send music to Raekwon and getting positive feedback. I want to go back a little bit here and talk more about the early musical influences, like as a youth. What was something that you would listen to at the house that would capture your attention?
I realized I liked very very aggressive, dark, just like cinematic music.
Gotcha.
And what I realized, it didn't matter the genre. So I love Cuban Links. So obviously I was super Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the most Wu-Tang. Like just finding all the obscure members. Like
yeah, all the spin-offs.
All the spin-offs.
60-Second Disciple.
Yeah,
the Sebastian Disciple, 60-Second Assassin.
You know, Killer Sin.
Yeah.
You know, just like
King Just at some point.
Yeah, like just anyone.
Yeah.
You know, heavy into Wu-Tang. Obviously love, the usual
Yes.
suspects. But it's just like I just gravitated more towards like that kind of sound.
Gotcha.
And then, I went to college, and then this is when I started branching off in other genres, and I discovered like Portishead. Like, and like that blew me away, because just like, oh wow, it's everything I like. They're doing these same exact things, but instead it's like a girl singing.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like that really, and and I started discovering like different types of jazz and just other things. I got into metal a little bit.
Okay.
So just anything that just reminds you of just cinematic, aggressive, just because like lifestyle wise, like I'm always in the gym or I'm at work from home. Like I don't really go out that much, if not at all. So it's just like I always like that kind of being in that kind of
mind frame, or that kind of being like the ambiance.
Yeah,
because it's in contrast to you as a person. I imagine. Yeah. No, that's wild. Right around the time you started making beats and really focusing it, beat makers that influenced you.
Number one is RZA.
Okay.
Number one is RZA. But then definitely number two is Madlib. Madlib, definitely. Like to me, but then you gotta include Dilla also. Like to me, they're just like 1A and 1B.
Got you.
Because it's just like, to me, like they just broke every rule. Like I'll do this 1.5 minute song, or I'll just find this loop and not change it and just make it sound dirtier, or I'll have this one song going one way and then just throw this skit, just completely throw you off. And then Dilla's whole thing was, I'm going to do everyone else's style better than them, but you can't do my style.
Yeah.
Like, I just, to me, like,
that's pretty, I like that.
Yeah, like, to me, like, when people ask about him, like, that's how I describe him. Like, you can do everybody else's style.
Yeah.
Except you can't do his.
Yeah.
So definitely them, Alchemist, Premier.
Okay.
And even now it's like, I love Adrian Young. Even though I can't play an instrument, but just like the textures and just the darkness, and then obviously Portishead.
Yeah.
Muggs, DJ Muggs.
Yeah, definitely.
Muggs, Havoc, just anybody that does that. And I would also throw Kanye in there because of just he mastered how to evolve.
Got you.
Like, late registration, he was chopping samples when nobody was chopping samples. Late registration, he was making it sound bigger. He listened to Portishead, he wanted to just expand, make things sound more cinematic. Graduation, he wanted to do anthems. 808, his mom died, he wanted to sing, but still keep it hip hop based.
Yeah.
Then the rest. It's just like he just learned how to keep evolving and just pushing forward.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of guys are dope, but like they stay the same.
Yes.
And so even if he goes in a direction you don't like, you still have to respect. Like, okay, he grew.
Correct. Correct.
So that's something I kind of took as well.
Yeah. No, and it's it stays true to the statement that a lot of people, you see it a lot of times, people will say, if you keep yourself in your comfort zone, you don't grow. And that's one thing that I could agree. And I'm not, like, and you summed it up excellent. Like, I'm not a fan of all of Kanye stuff.
Yeah.
But you have to appreciate the fact that as a producer, he's tried different things and hasn't. it hasn't been bad in the sense
Yeah.
where it still holds the main, it keeps a fan base going. Like I said, I don't love all of it, but I can see where the work ethic comes in.
Yeah, because it's like, the only difference is that, he decides to fail publicly.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of producers probably have all types of goofy shit in their hard drives that they won't put out. He'll just do it publicly. He'll do poop diddy scoop. I know everybody got a poop diddy scoop on their hard drive.
You know what's funny? I recently learned about poopity scoop. And it was listening to another podcast, and I was like, what the hell are they talking about? And apparently he just, out of nowhere, just dropped the song. It was just poopity scoop through the whole thing. And
Because it was really supposed to be like a reference.
Really?
Yeah, from what I understand, it was supposed to be like a reference. So, like when people record, like sometimes you'll just say gibberish to like count bars or whatever.
Got you.
From
or
what,
like
from,
a placeholder, or kind of
Yeah.
like the infamous story with Nori.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, exactly. Where he's like, he was trying to learn how to count bars, and then he was doing the chorus, filling in the chorus part. He just what, and then Pharrell said, let's keep that. That's the chorus.
Yeah. So
and then the chick singing.
Yeah. So I could be wrong. So I think that's how that came out. And he was just like, whatever. I'll just put it out. Whatever.
Wow. And then of course he's gonna play to the whole. Is it crazy or is it genius?
Yeah.
Like
it's like again, like sometimes certain people I learn how to kind of just separate art from the artist.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't. Mm-hmm. I think now it's harder for me to do that with him.
Yeah.
But but it's just like, oh wow, so that's where you went.
Let me go back to Jay Dilla. Do you remember the first beat you heard from Jay Dilla?
One of the craziest thing.
Let me know.
I was not a big Dilla fan at first.
Okay.
At first.
All right.
I'm like, okay, I get it. But then the first beat that really because remember, I'm younger. So I'm 26. I'll be 27 in a couple weeks.
Gotcha.
So the first Dilla, actually, ironically, the first Dilla beat that I heard that I was like, whoa, was House of Flying Daggers on Cuban Links 2.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that beat. But it was like that one beat that.
And I'm sure I heard it, but I cannot recall it now.
Yeah. It was like that one beat that sounded like too much like a RZA beat. Like you're like, oh no, there's no way. Like, who did this? Who's responsible for this?
It sounded a lot like a RZA beat, but it wasn't a RZA beat. Like you could tell it wasn't.
Yeah, but it just hit. It just hit and it sounded like, oh, now I get it. So so I'm younger, so I had to go back to a lot of things. Like Cuban Links, I had to go back to Reason Ballad. I had to go back to.
Far Side, did you ever
Far Side messed with a little bit.
The Lab Cab in California?
A little bit. I mainly stayed on the East Coast.
Got you.
So it's like, unfortunately, I missed out on that. I missed out, none of De La Soul's on Spotify. So
yes, unfortunately, fuck Tommy Boy.
Yeah, forever. So then, I go back. I find Champion Sound. I find Donuts. That's when I start. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah,
I get it now.
Welcome to Detroit.
Yeah,
it's funny you say that because I'm gonna confess something here. I mean, when I heard Running from Far Side, I was like, yo, this is so dope. Mm-hmm. What is this? And then you start hearing that, there's songs. You start hearing Janet Jackson coming out with these songs where I'm like, yo, I'm cool. Like, yo, this is dope. And then you find out that was Jay Dilla. And then, so I was like, oh, I fuck with Jay Dilla. And then I remember picking up Welcome to Detroit, and I picked up the CD because it was recommended to me by Magnum O. Shouts to you, Magnum O. Someone who early on was the plug, quote unquote, for my CD collection. He was like, yo, he had CDs. Like, oh, not he was burning. He would copy the CD to a tape back then. That's how long ago it was.
Okay.
I was gonna say he burned the CD for me, but that shit did not exist in '93. I'd be lying. I'd be bold-faced lying to you, telling you, yeah, we were burning CDs in '93. That also rhymed.
Tell you, man, Mightyhealthy coming soon.
Yeah. So he would put the CDs on tape for me, and so he was a source of mine. And then fast forward to 99, 2000, and he's was it? I think Welcome to Detroit came out. It was late 90s, early 2000s, and he's like, yo, you gotta check out this album. Mm-hmm. and I went and I bought it just off the strength because I'm like, yo, Magnum's not gonna fail me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He understands my taste. And I buy the album and I sit through it, and I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Okay.
I was.
Did you discover Madlib first?
Oh yeah, Lupac.
So like that's usually what happens. Like I think because that was me. Like I discovered Madlib first.
Got you.
So I'm like, okay, he's kind of like Madlib, but not really. Okay, like he does drums more than Madlib. Madlib is more of a looper, although he can drum.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, okay, they're very similar, but I'm like, he's okay. But then, once you introduce some more stuff, you're like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that was my evolution as well. That's crazy. That was my evolution as well, because then I was like, all right, I didn't take that CD over to the CD trader and cop another one. I held on to Welcome to Detroit. I'm like, I'm going to hold on to it. Even though I was tempted. I was tempted to take that shit over to the CD trader and be like, yo, what do you give me for this? And then I'll grab something else.
Yeah.
But I held on to it. And years down the line, when I'm starting to hear different things, when I hear, Raise It Up, and more songs to come after that, and then like Rough Draft, and I was like, I gotta go back. Just like you said, I gotta go back to Welcome to Detroit, and then playing that, and I was like, yo, this is what Magnum saw in it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing it now. I mean, right down to the Bossa Nova track. Like, that shit to me hits.
Yeah.
Like, that shit comes on, I'm like, yo, and it's so left from everything else on there.
Yeah, because like he covers the entire spectrum, and and I remember because I was watching. You remember like the Stone's Throw documentary that came out not too long ago?
Yes.
So there was like an extended Kanye interview.
Okay.
He described it very well. He's like, Dilla had a warm sound that still like hit and cut through speakers.
Yeah.
And like that describes it perfectly because like he'll have these old samples. It feels very like homemade, and so that's they kind of deem him as lo-fi, even though I disagree with it.
Yeah.
But he had this warm sound that people kind of were doing, but not at his level. But the thing is, it was still balanced. Like it still cut through. Like
now that we're talking about it, I think another contributing factor to me not picking up right away on Welcome to Detroit is that Dilla was like, his rhymes were just, it's flashy. It was flashy. We got money. We're gonna go to the strip club. We're gonna spend it.
Mm-hmm.
The cars. Even on when he appeared on Common's Like Water for Chocolate on the Thelonious. Thelonious. I think the name of the track's Thelonious. And it's like he's got these car references with the the wood grain, and at that point in time I was like that. I was so backpack.
Right.
That I was like, I don't want to hear about this guy spending money and the strict. I don't want to hear. So I think that played a factor in it as well. But
that's why I liked it more, because it's just like, so this is like, I don't know if you're aware of this narrative of like,
I think I know where you're going, but I want to see.
Yeah, because
like, end up in the same place.
Like, dude, Dilla is not lo-fi.
Yeah,
it's just because when you think, because I deal with this a lot because I have a lot of supporters who classify me as lo-fi. And like, I kind of get it, but it's just like, no, like maybe I'm like sonically there because it's really just because I don't know how to mix well. I just don't know what I'm doing. That's why things sound like that.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes I purposely sound like that, but I'm like, no, like I make things like, I don't make like bedroom studying music.
Correct.
I don't,
especially with the aggressiveness. It's like,
yeah, like, so usually they say I'm lo-fi, but they all say like, yo, I was listening to this like in the gym, I was in the car, I was pissed off, I was driving to work, like, so I'm like,
that there, there's definitely that's two ends of the scale there.
Yeah, and like I get it. I apparently like there's, because I don't know much about lo-fi, but it's just apparently there's a wider spectrum to it. But like, no, Dilla was not a backpack dude at all.
No,
like to me
whatsoever.
He was just Kanye with a smaller budget.
Yeah,
like it
did more with less.
Yeah.
It's so true. It is very true. Yeah. This whole lo-fi phenomenon. It seems like It's another label added. Bro, just say you like hip hop.
Yeah, like
it's not just like lo-fi.
this is where it gets weird. Like, so is Griselda lo-fi?
Yeah, because there's no drums there. You know, you could at times hear where the loop starts again.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like
the drums hit very boxy sometimes too. Like I could tell what they use sometimes in their effects. Like, so they're not.
No, that's the last thing you would classify.
Boom, boom, boom. Like, that's not lo-fi. You know?
Yo, no, man, definitely not. Another one that I've come across. Are you familiar with L Orange, the producer L Orange?
L Orange. Why does that name sound familiar?
He's done work with Blue, Homeboy
Blue.
Sandman.
Love Homeboy Sandman.
He's recently dropped a project with. I should know this. And H is gonna kill me. Shouts to H, WVCC.
He's probably played it like 20 times.
Yes, because we were going back and forth. I should know the name. It's Marlowe 2.
Okay.
It's Marlowe 2. That is a collaborative album with the MC by the name of Solemn Brigham. They dropped the second one. Before that, he did a collaborative album with Jeremiah J, which is called "Complicate Your Life with Violence."
That is a dope title.
Yeah, it is, and the album is ridiculous.
Does it sound like your life getting complicated with violence?
Yes, there's a lot of hard,
awesome.
like what you're describing as your sound with the aggressiveness and the hard hit, but then it has the dusty old like samples before soul. The one thing that L Orange uses a lot is samples from old. It has to be like the 40s and 50s, the movies, just the movies. And he does a hell of a job with them. And they consider him lo-fi, but it's like what? Because his sources are like aged. Like it's like I don't get it.
No, like it's like
it hits so hard.
Like no, like Madlib made McNasty Filth. That's not lo-fi.
Yeah, no, not at all.
You know, like. But you mentioned old scores and stuff. So, all right. So, like, I mostly, where I get my samples from, I basically follow a ton of YouTube. All right. So let me back up even further. Like, one key component to my sound is like I make sure I really go out of my way to find things that really haven't been done before.
Okay.
So, like, I know a lot of producers. There's like 3 YouTube channels that everybody goes through. I'm like, no, I'm not going through those. Like, I'll go through everyone else's. Like, sometimes I go digging every once in a while. There's like that one record store. There's like that one spot in Kendall. I think there's like, I think it's called Lucky something over in
Winwood.
Yeah, in 1-800. Yeah, there's that one.
Oh no, 1-800 Lucky or is it? No,
it's Lucky something.
It's Lucky Records.
And there's like a ramen spot right next to it.
That's 1-800 Lucky. Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah,
gotcha.
And there was another one in Little Haiti. What's it called? Anyway, I'll go there.
Yeah.
You ever seen the YouTube show Rhythm Roulette?
Yes.
So I do that.
Okay.
I just walk in, I go find the cheapest, crappiest section, and just start grabbing shit.
Minus the blindfold, but you just start grabbing.
But it's the same. I don't look down. I just grab stuff.
So in other words, you don't try to assess the album, which is pretty much the same thing. You can't see the album. You're not trying to assess it by the cover, the track list. You just grab wax.
The more unwanted, the better. So like I'll do that, and then usually on YouTube I'll find stuff. Sometimes like if I'm at work, like I'll just go to like some kind of radio app and just find something from like a certain country and just listen to stuff all day.
Got you.
Like like I love a lot of like Turkish samples, a lot of like, East Asian stuff, like just. I really go out of my way to find.
Yeah.
So I pride myself on my ear.
Got you.
But what are we talking about?
That's an excellent question. No, so what we were referring to, and it's gonna come back to me. And this is not the first time it's happened on the podcast. I think the failure is that we drank the beers at the beginning.
No, the thing is, it wasn't the beers.
No.
I genuinely forgot.
So it's your secret sauce. How you go about picking samples, and you'll travel and you'll go left where everybody's going in one direction. You'll go the other way for sounds that you would like to incorporate in your production, which is it brings us back to man, that's what hip hop was. You mentioned it earlier. Hip hop was that, for those who didn't have,
right,
or who had limited resources, and they made the best of it. You still continue to challenge yourself in that aspect because you want to go where it's not common to go.
Yeah,
because there's got to be something there.
Exactly. One thing, that's why I can't wait till, that this is why this whole Corona thing, as much as I appreciate being able to be home and stuff, one thing it did screw up. I was supposed to go on a 12-day Mediterranean cruise. It was supposed to leave out of Barcelona.
Wow.
It was like 3 stops in Italy. I was supposed to go to Croatia. And my plan was I was going to find a record store in every single stop and just grab like 20 records. I just came back with just crates of stuff.
Oh, man.
Just stuff you can't find anywhere. Like,
I'm let down now. Because that sounds like an ideal situation. You're traveling and then you're incorporating what it is you do at every stop. And the worst part is that Corona shut it down, and then it'll never be the same. It's like,
I definitely want to
at least that industry won't be the same.
Yeah, like I definitely want to just go travel just to dig. Like, yo, I don't know if you've heard of this, but there's this one album of just like it's like 68 through 74, just Vietnamese rock and soul.
Really?
It is just the hardest. Just like,
really,
dude. There's like another one. It's super dope. I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
I don't know if it's on Spotify because there's a lot of them aren't even like, and like I just find stuff like that. There's like another one. Actually, I think that was like a more popular one, but like I just find these like compilations of stuff. There's like another one I found just full of just Thai music, just Thai funk. Like,
that's amazing to me. Like I never thought that was the chair sliding. For those who might have caught an odd sound in the background, that's a combination that, I mean, my lack of knowledge in that, like I would have never thought Thai funk. Yeah. But then you think, or like you said earlier, like that the Vietnamese soul, and you're like, oh shit, well that makes sense. 68 to 74, you said, Vietnam.
Yeah.
It's like, that it all. Oh, I never thought of it.
Yeah, it's just like the aesthetics is there, the warmth is there, the vocals are cut. It's just most of, like, I'm not even interested in sampling it. I just love that music.
Yeah.
Like, even a lot of the Thai stuff. I just love just finding just, man, I'm not to saying that record.
Please
I'm not, because you producers are listening. You're not going to know what it is. I'm going to tell Ed. He's not going to tell nobody.
The secret is safe with me.
Yeah.
Yo, lock tight, Fort Knox. For real. Yo, Mightyhealthy, man. We talked, we discussed beats. We talked about some of the greats, your experiences with them, your influences. And yeah, man, I think we did our thing in this segment. I'm glad we did. I mean, we ran a good solid 24 minutes looking like, but it was all entertaining to me. We got one thing left to do, and that's get into these eats to make the cipher complete. Now you got me started.
Exactly.
Now I'm just gonna look for the damn rhymes everywhere. Y'all stay tuned. It's BrewsBeats&Eats the podcast.
And one thing, no sample snitching.
Boom. BrewsBeats&Eats, the podcast. We have reached the eats portion. We are rounding third, on our way home, about to bring this thing to an end. But before we can do that, we definitely got to get to know Mightyhealthy and his food taste, his food choices, the dishes that call to him, maybe even certain things that he won't even mess with. That's always an interesting question. I think I'm going to throw that in there too.
Sushi. Just
right off the rip.
Just sushi.
You don't mess with sushi.
I hate it. I hate sushi. No one can convince me, like, I hate sushi. I hate ceviche. Anything that's, like, not cooked, like, no. It
hasn't been purified by the fires.
No, like, I remember I was working one time. I don't know. It was, like, my first internship. And it was my last day. They're like, oh, Julian, let's take you to, like, this ceviche spot. I'm like, what's ceviche? They're like, oh, it's like, they use... I might butcher it, but it's like, they use like the seasonings and stuff to
To
them.
cook, then the marinade will kind
To
of
marinate.
quote unquote cook
Yeah.
the raw fish, so on and so forth.
But like they didn't tell me that
That
like
shit came cold.
yeah. So like I understood that it was tasty.
Yeah.
Like it tasted
Because the flavors were there, of course.
But like, nah, get this shit out of here.
Nah, man, it's not. The flavors on this aren't enough for me to power through chewing this.
Yeah, like I feel like it could just slither off my plate, man.
And then you'd have to chase it, and that becomes the whole thing. And so off rip, sushi's not a thing for you either. Yeah, because technically sushi. Wait a minute. Now, have you tried a sushi where something was maybe tempura? Like
No, tempura's fire.
I got you.
I like tempura.
Okay, so you eat a sushi roll that has like a tempura shrimp in it.
Yeah, but it's just like I might as well just have shrimp then.
Yeah,
like why?
But that
like,
just goes straight to the shrimp. You know, dip it in a sweet chili sauce or
yeah,
something.
like so. I have a friend she made. She's like, you have the palate of a 7-year-old.
Yeah,
and it's like I realize that it's just like like I have a very very practical. This is like certain things I'm just not gonna explore. Like I don't understand. Like I remember I was on a cruise one time and they had like frog legs. I'm like, I might as well just have chicken. Like it's just
especially when the argument most of the time is it tastes like chicken. Then why would I avoid the chicken?
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Why do I have to make my life more difficult?
Yeah.
You know.
For the sake of to appease somebody else, because ultimately you seem like you're gonna do just fine without eating the frog legs.
Because they eat it like, oh, I had frog legs. It's like, I don't care. I don't care.
All right, I'm gonna continue this. I'm gonna continue the trend, and I'm gonna ask: have you had gator bites before?
No.
Okay.
What is that?
It's or gator chunks. It's the tail of the gator, and it's chopped up into chunks and then deep fried. It's actually pretty good.
That sounds like it could be good.
Yeah.
But again, okay, a lot of things, because I live at home. I have like some meal delivery service. So also, I hate cooking. I hate the entire process.
Right. Let me take that question off my notes here.
Yeah, I hate cooking, so I just have my meals delivered.
There you go.
And if I feel like cheating, I'll do Uber Eats.
Okay.
So like Uber Eats, I'm like, okay, what is the most practical way I can be full and enjoy myself? So usually, I work out, so I need a lot of protein, I need a lot of whatever. So usually it just boils down to like a burger, sesame chicken, maybe some fried chicken, or maybe like chicken parmesan. Like I haven't explored much because because you know how Uber Eats is, like you're paying $30 to. So it's like, this better be good.
Yes.
Because if it's terrible, then I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah.
You wait 50 minutes and
then at that point, everybody's gone. So who do you take that out on?
Yeah.
Like the driver's gone. The restaurant you ordered it from is not nearby.
Yeah, now it's quarantine, so everything's closing early.
Yeah.
And so, you crave
Who do you air your grievances with?
Yeah, like now it's 9 p.m. I can't eat again. I'm stuck with garbage. Like,
Yeah, man. Bad look all around. Which that might be motivation to maybe pick up a couple of cooking tips.
Never.
Not enough. Still
Never.
not enough.
It's just I don't know. Maybe because I live by myself. It's just not practical.
Exactly.
Like, all right. Go to Uber Eats. I go to Whole Foods, waste time, try to find a recipe. I already know I'm going to do it badly. So I'm spending all this. I have to buy all the seasoning and everything because I just didn't have it before. I buy all this stuff, waste a bunch of time burning everything. It's real embarrassing. And then you're just eating it. Like, you have to power through it now because now you just spent $48.
Yeah.
And then now you have to clean up after. Now you're just like, man. One thing I don't mind, though, I don't mind grilling.
Okay.
I could grill a burger.
All right.
It's not the best thing, but you can't really screw that up.
No.
But that's it. I can't do anything else.
Yeah. What do you usually throw on a burger? Take us down that trip. Like,
nothing. It's just not that sophisticated.
Ketchup, mustard.
Just ketchup, mustard. Some cheese. Maybe I got fancy, threw some onions on the grill.
Okay.
But that's it. Like it's just, again, I have a palate of a 7-year-old. Like just straight to the point.
Okay. So since we keep revisiting the 7-year-old palate, what was something you grew up eating?
The exact same stuff. Nothing has changed.
You found your comfort place, and you're like, yeah, this is what I was eating when I was 7. It hasn't failed me, and I'm gonna continue to go on.
I was the kid whose parents like they just had to take me to McDonald's every Friday. Like that was my thing up until like the 5th grade.
Wow.
And then like I love Chinese food. I love sesame chicken. Yeah. You know, New York obviously has the best Chinese food because I was living in New York at the time.
Okay.
Up until I was like 11, and then like. So that, like, just burgers and Chinese food. Like, just not much else. Nothing has changed. No one has expanded my palate.
The wheelhouse was established.
Yeah.
Like, this is where I'm comfortable. Yeah, that's wild, yo. Grilling. So, all right, besides the burger, what else is something you throw on a grill?
Absolutely nothing else.
Nothing else.
I'm telling you, this is going to be a very quick segment.
So you haven't... So you haven't ventured into churrasco? Like you're not even giving that a shot. I know you're a fan of churrasco.
I'm gonna try it sometime this year.
Okay.
I'm gonna genuinely give it a try.
Okay.
But it's just like my dad had a restaurant at a point in time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, like my mom she's very good at cook. Like I come from a family of people that cook very well.
Okay.
You know, I go to Sunday dinner at my grandma's house every Sunday. Been doing that pretty much my whole life. So I'm used to people cooking a lot better than me.
And having a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
Because now they've already gotten you used to a certain certain type of, expertise when it comes to cooking, and it's like, I'm not going to match that.
Yeah.
No.
It's just like,
There's more disappointment.
You have Jordan, and then you have like the Suns. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
We're good. So we're not that.
Yeah.
We're not that. What does a Sunday meal at grandma's consist? What does that consist of?
It usually varies, but like at the core of it, it's usually 2 different meats.
Okay.
2 types of carbs. It's it's like rice and beans, maybe some white rice and sauce. You got usually plantains, fried plantains.
Gotcha.
It's just I definitely look forward to it every Sunday because I'm like, home cooked food. Yeah. Oh my goodness, this is great.
So Haitian descent. Is there any typical Haitian dish that you don't?
Oh yeah, like that I don't like.
That you don't like? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a couple. I had a traumatizing experience with sauce pois. It's like the bean sauce.
Okay.
I had it once when I was a kid. I'm pretty sure there's like an equivalent to it.
Okay.
It's it's beans, but it's like a sauce also. Like you put it on your rice and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay, so like most Hispanics
make
a bean.
You guys have
and then we'll coat the
like
rice.
We share a lot of stuff in common.
Yeah, definitely.
We just have different names.
Yeah.
I just had one experience when I was a kid, and I just never had it again.
Really.
It's just like, even to this day they make fun of me. They're like, wait, like you're just putting white rice and that's it? Like, yeah.
Yeah. This is me.
Yeah.
All day.
That's it.
White rice. White rice.
But yeah, man, it was that. There's like a couple other things that wasn't, but like, obviously I love the staples. I love guillo.
Okay.
The fried pork. You gotta love tasso. You gotta love the soups. You gotta love your bouillon. You gotta love, like, I love the staples.
Yeah.
But everything else,
you guys do it's escaping me. Fritters. You guys do fritters as well? Like a saltfish fritter or a conch fritter? You guys mess with that at all? I mean, I have a Haitian homeboy of mine.
Yeah.
That when I can't remember what he calls it, but it's his version.
It's just like a fried fish.
Yeah, but it's like chunks, and it's kind of like a it's almost like a hush puppy.
Oh no, yeah.
You don't mess with
I could be wrong. I don't. I mean, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
But that sounds like something I probably like.
Yeah.
I love fish. I love all that stuff.
Okay.
Like, I just like them cooked.
Yeah. You want it with a low survival rate, like
yeah, when I was a kid, I like my meat well done. Now I ventured out. I'm like, okay, medium well. Like, my dad likes it a little more rare. I'm like, that's gonna move and walk off your plate.
Good thing you're armed with a knife because you might have to go after that. Oh damn! Let's start with Haitian desserts.
Yeah.
What's
not a dessert guy?
No, really?
Not a dessert guy. Okay, like when I was a kid, I loved Hershey bars. But now I'm not anymore. I'm not, healthy lifestyle. You work.
You try, yeah.
Like I don't really have the taste anymore.
Yeah, and the fact that if you're committing, any type of energy into yourself and your diet, those are one of the things that you're like, definitely not. I don't have to go to that because, of course, you're putting in work.
Yeah.
And you don't want to offset that with something that you're not really crazy about to begin with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I enjoy cheesecake. I enjoy, ice cream. But it's like, I don't crave it. If it's presented to me, I'll eat it.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a dessert involved by any chance in these Sunday meals, or do they usually?
They usually got sometimes it's cheesecake, sometimes there's other stuff going on, and if it's there, I'll have a little bit. But like I never had a sweet tooth. I would say though, lately I've craved fruit more.
Got you.
I could go through a bag of grapes at any time.
Really?
Yeah, any point, any given time.
That's amazing. This is probably one of the first times that I've heard somebody say go to bed. Because I get grapes and I forget they're there.
Really?
Like the first time they arrive, I'll grab a couple bushels of them, Somebody put me onto these frozen grape things and they're trying to sell me that it was like the best thing. Oh, you never had frozen grapes? I tried it. Was not impressed.
Yeah.
I'm not teething. Like, why would you give me...
This feels like a jawbreaker.
Yeah. It's like that's something you would try to to lower inflammation of the gums. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, just straight grapes. But even in that situation, it's like I'll do that once or twice. The first day or the second day they're here, and then I just forget them.
Really?
I just forget them.
I think at Whole Foods, I think they got them in another place now. There's like these cotton candy grapes, but they're only available every once in a while.
Got you. I've seen them.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the only sweet thing I could just eat completely irrationally, just in one sitting. I remember because I had a trainer at a point in time because I lost 50 pounds a couple years ago.
Nice, congrats.
And I was just like, okay, so is it bad that I could eat a whole bag of grapes? They just looked at me, it's just like, yeah, you don't do that.
Just do that.
Like, what are you talking about? Really?
That's where you're gonna put all your calories at? Come on.
That's the thing. Like my problem is it was just stupid things like that. Just eating grapes all day. Like I don't have a sweet tooth. Yeah. I don't eat late really. Like I don't drink heavy. I really just drink on the. So it's just it's just stupid things like that.
Yeah, no, and then of course if you're snacking at grapes all day long, then that's kind of what holds you over, and then you really have no need to get to have a plate of something that could fuel you in the sense of okay, I need some proteins, I need some fats, I need some light on the carbs or whatnot.
Right.
So yeah, I can see where that could go wrong there. Definitely. You have a meal service. I imagine it's tailored to your workout routine and whatnot.
Yeah, they're not sponsoring this show.
So we ain't gonna give them that shine.
Yeah. So it's like the typical thing. Like you just pick high protein, high whatever. Mm-hmm. They have a whole menu every week. You just kind of just pick what you want.
Dope.
And a lot of the options are good. Like one time I had a burger, but it was like a organic patty and some kind of pita kind of bread. And, and instead of fries, they had wedges and
Got you.
So they try to make sure you're not just having just miserable food.
Yeah.
Because I was into that at a point in time, just doing the meal prep and making chicken breasts and stuff for the week, and you just power through it, just real miserable. And just there's
no pleasure in it.
Yeah, just but then Tuesday comes and all of a sudden you're craving things you don't even like. Like one day, like I'm just craving KFC. I'm like, I don't even eat KFC.
Why
like,
is that a thing? Yeah.
But it's just like you're just craving salt.
Yeah, yeah,
like you
yeah.
haven't had it in 2 weeks.
There's a texture and a flavor you're looking for that isn't provided by these other things you've had up to this point.
Have you tried to like really like go on like a strict diet and stuff like that?
I have. I have same premise. Started working out and then typically when you get involved with a workout spot or whatnot, they'll throw you like a fat flush, which is for like the next 2 weeks. Don't eat this. Kind of like getting your body used to not relying on everything you ate before you got to that point. And then at the same time, like transitioning, and then you couple that with the amount of work that you put in, and you start realizing, like you said, like, I don't have to eat Popeye, I don't have to eat KFC, I don't have to have that Hershey's bar. So I've done that a couple times. I've done a couple of between that and it's more like not so much like lifestyle change, but kind of like just a reset, like take a break from. So I've done what I've done like 6-week challenges. I've done where I went a whole month without eating meat, just to observe the differences and whatnot. And more so, if nothing else, I mean, whether the differences were there or not, I think it's the biggest thing I took away from that is that now I can navigate through, eating something that has no meat to then bouncing back to something that has meat.
I remember because you posting because. I'm not like a vegan person at all, but like you post stuff, I'm like, I would at least try that.
Yes. And that's where I find myself from. Like, okay, I would try this. Shouts to Got Now. By the time you've heard this episode, you've already know we've been a week into it. The Got Now Organic Food Kings. DJ Got Now, he collaborated with Organic Food Kings down in Miami, and they came up with the lemon pepper chicken sandwich. Fake chicken sandwich.
So when they say fake chicken, like what is it?
It is a pea protein.
Okay.
So, and they've just found a way to give it the texture and the crisp that you would get from a chicken sandwich. Again, I've said it before. I never tried the Popeyes chicken sandwich. I think Popeyes, as pleasing or as enticing as the idea of Popeyes might sound with these chicken strips and these French fries and the biscuit, it's just a lot of bread, in my opinion. So I don't eat Popeyes, and I never get a chance to experience the sandwich, but definitely
it's okay.
Yeah. So this sandwich is, in my mind, this is what I would expect from a Popeyes chicken sandwich, which goes to say that it's, despite the fact that it's not chicken, it's damn near close to what I would expect from as a chicken sandwich from any place. So
if also like it really tasted like chicken,
yeah,
because I trust your palate.
Yes, no, it definitely tasted like chicken. The sauces they put on them were on point. I mean, the whole product, just everything in itself, it's a really good sandwich.
Right.
Yo, shouts to Stro. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
You could definitely attribute to the fact, or testify to the fact that chicken sandwich. Without Mightyhealthy.
How's it going?
That chicken sandwich.
That thing was on point. Yeah.
Word. Okay.
Also not a vegan. Nothing along the lines, but yeah, you walk away.
Because it's only vegan people that recommend me this, so I'm always like.
Yeah, I'm far from vegan. And
okay.
That was on point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I gotta try it then.
No, definitely. Mightyhealthy, bro. This has been a Mightyhealthy episode. Like I'm full. We got to know you. The listener got a chance to know you. We talked. We drank the beers. We sampled beers.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you taking the opportunity or taking the chance to try something different and hopefully maybe. Find yourself in a situation where we're like, oh, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
I might try that again.
And for the record, we drank all of them.
Yes.
We finished all of them.
Yeah, man. No halfways here. What else did we do? We talked beats. We got into beats. Man, I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to it. You know what? I'm not even going to get shocked when I sit there and I throw in Only Built Part 3. And I was like, Mightyhealthy on production.
Everything across.
Yes. Yes. And then we just got to know how difficult of an eater you are. I mean,
yeah.
from 7 years old on.
Just the same.
The same. But we were still able to traverse. I'm glad I brought up the whole, like, what is it that you don't like? Because, like you said, that takes up a good amount of this conversation. It's like, well, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. But nonetheless, Mighty Healthy. Thank you so much. Like I always like to say at this time, there it is. BrewsBeats&Eats, the podcast. As always, I'd like to thank my guest, Mighty Healthy, all caps, no space.
Yeah,
right?
please, no space, because a lot of you guys, you put Mighty Healthy, you put Mighty Healthy one word, and then only the M and H is capitalized. You put Mighty Healthy like the song. No, it's one word. That way, if you Google me, it pops up. Go to my, it's just a lot easier that way.
You're at the right. You're at the right place. Thank you so much for taking the time, sitting down, and talking it up with me. I'd like to thank the listener again. As always, thank the listener for tuning in yet another week. If you enjoyed what you heard, tell a friend. If you didn't enjoy it, tell an enemy. Tell somebody. Let them know. Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple, any podcast streaming site that matters, I'm there. Also the YouTube. Keep up with the YouTube. Audio episodes are always there. Video episodes once a month. Trying to keep that in line.
Drop it on TikTok.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna let the Chinese know all the secrets.
Everything.
Yeah, they're gonna find out all about this. Yo, y'all know what it is. It's BrewsBeats&Eats. Old Head Ed, Mighty Healthy. Thank you so much. Mighty Ed. Come soon. Stay tuned. It might be like a 3-track EP. Nice short, maybe about a minute and a half per track. But it's gonna happen. Y'all know what's up. BrewsBeats&Eats, the podcast.
Oh man.